find, you heard the enthusiasm and the realism of Thibault and Ludivine about the quality of the vintage, and above all, our plank on research to make sure that in 30 or 100 years we still have wines from the Office de Bourgogne. I will speak about figures. I could sum it up in one sentence. Burgundy has never sold so many good wines, but produced so few wines. As you know, we are carrying an inquiry with the estates, with the producers, to estimate the value of harvest that is produced. And the estimate of harvest that you have this year is between 900 and 950 hectoliters. So this is a range. Usually we give you a specific figure. Why a range? Because we noticed a lot of unevenness in the vineyards. We follow the productions, Côte de Nuit, Chablis, etc., and the Macon of the north and of the south. What we notice generally, though, is the Côte d'Or wines, the Côte Chalonnaise, are particularly impacted. The reds usually do better and a bit better in the Côte de Nuit than in the Côte de Beaune. However, anyway, it's 50% of a normal harvest of 2018. And if we compare this compared to the average of the five last years, we used to produce 1.4. Now it's a lower 1.4. Ludivine spoke about the average yields of the Hospice de Beaune. If we look at the estimated volume and surface area, we are between 30 and 31 hectoliters per hectare. But as I said earlier, it's uneven. 30, it's good in the Côte de Nuit. 30 hectare in Chablis, it's half a normal crop. For those who know the figures of production in Burgundy, we need to go back to 1985 to find a crop below 1 million hectoliters. 1 million hectoliters was 46 hectoliter per hectare. And for the old-timers here, you have to go back to 1981, where we had an average crop 21 hectoliters per hectare, or 2.5 acres. Now, some positive figures now, which are about the upstream part. The upstream part was particularly dynamic, especially with the 2020 vintage, which was 1.56 hectoliters. Deals between were up by 12%. Releases from estates were up 11%. So in your kits, you have many figures about the export. I will not look at all of them. Let me comment a few of those statistics. First of all, remind you that France is the first client of Burgundy. We also tend to talk about export, but the French client with retailers, with restaurant owners, etc., is the main market. The main retailers had the COVID effect where people stayed at home but bought wines in supermarkets. So 2020 was rather a strong year, which continued this year with a rise in volumes of 5% and 8% in value. All the AOC benefit from that. For the restaurant owners and specialist retailers, no official statistic. We're based on qualitative polling or surveys, but in restaurants we see that they are full. You have to really make reservations if you want to eat, and you see wine on each table. So restaurants are doing quite well. The second line is for Burgundy's export. In the export arena, by including every figure, it's up by nearly 22% in volume and 26% in value. We will be topping again the 1 billion euro in sales. We tend to complain in France when you have good figures. It's important to mention this over 1 billion of euro in exports. That's great. The United States benefited from the tax that was stopped. It was called the Trump tax. I'd rather to call it differently. It was temporarily suspended in April, so there was an effect of like operators really hurried to export. It was not easy because you had issues of availability of containers, of ships, etc. But April, May were very brisk, and finally the Biden administration had a very good idea of postponing. for a long time, hopefully, such a tax. So 2021 was very buoyant for dynamic, plus 14% in volume, plus 11% in value. And we also see that all the AOCs, all the colors benefited. And the Crémant records even a rise of with more 3 digits because maybe the Champenois could not export to the US, so that gives some room for us. Korea was surprising with a rise with 3 digits. That's significant, believe me. Probably accounted for free trade agreements, no longer taxes, which means that wines are more affordable, and Koreans were able to consume more of our wines. Now, the questions we may ask ourselves, how can we interpret such good results? Well, to start with, we can see that the strong pickup in consumption, the effect of joy, we heard this word this morning very often, the joy, the thirst for consuming, being together, of sharing our good Burgundy bottles. So we want to live again and consume the way we saw it yesterday at the Clos Vougeot, which was fantastic. So, a series of very good vintages. We have good wines, good vintages to sell, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 2020, for every color. And I'd like to add, despite the small harvest, we have fewer wines, but every operator is on the move. We had to get organized. With Zoom testing, virtually by sending samplings to remain connected with our customers and continue to exchange with them. Now, the second question is, what about the future? What kind of actions for the various operators? Because to this day, as of today, Burgundy has 18 months of stocks in its cellars. Those stocks are shared for half merchants, for half estates, and with the 2021 that is scanned, we'll really have to drive this finally in the markets in the next 2 years. And as Thibault said, we are all waiting for the 2022 harvest, see what it will be about. So what is told operators is to remain connected, be on the ground, and refine their offer. Will be present. The operators will be present in the Burgundy Week in London next January, in Wine Paris in February. And on the other hand, what about the interprofession to support such operators? Maintain promotions on the ground. The Grand Jour de Bourgogne will find you again in March in our major Burgundy territory and until the 25th of March, and also the reunions in Great Britain, in Canada, in the US, and in Japan. The interprofessional will take the professionals to those markets with tastings dedicated to the press and to the professionals. And as Thibault said as well, continue such investments into research. The BIVB Act has increased its technical budget by nearly 600,000 euros, and it's not over. What we can say is that the Burgundy Wine Board becomes an investor and not a financer of the major projects for the future, to make sure that we are able to have wines for the coming century. It's up to us to take our fate into our hands, have projects that federate the whole, all of us, such as the Cité des Climats des Vins de Bourgogne, and François will talk about that one. Thank you very much.